Hey guys, what is up today? Honda has finally debuted the 2023 Honda Accord, and I have to say, oh my lord, Honda has disappointed once again. And I'll be going over everything in this video from exterior, interior, features, and also the performance of this vehicle. But starting from this exterior, it's sort of bland and boring compared to the previous Accord. I think the main problem here is the grille starting from the front. I thought the singular grille design looked better on the 10th generation Accord. I think the LED daytime running lights were a little more eye-catching when compared to this Accord. And as you can see here, Honda has cheaped out once again because they excluded the fog lights, which even the Civic and Integra gets, in favor of this weird silver trim here, and I don't really like it. The hood is also less attractive than the 10th Gen Accord because it's flat, where the 10th Gen Accord had a little more of a sloping hood design. I knew they would do the same thing because they did this on the Civic, and it's for pedestrian safety in the event you run someone over. But it doesn't work as much here because the Accord is now 2.8 inches longer, while the wheelbase remains the same. So you can see where like the 2.8 inches goes, and it sort of gives the Accord a little bit of an underbite in my opinion. People have been saying that the front of the Accord looks a bit like a Taurus, but I think it looks more like a Ford Fusion. And overall, the vehicle looks like the next generation Passat meets like Japanese design or something like that. It's just not my favorite. The side profile is pretty tame here. They didn't take too many risks here. The wheels look decent, I guess. They cleaned up the C-pillar, which is actually pretty decent compared to the 10th gen. The rear is okay too. I think the light bar, I guess it's a little bit better than the previous gen Accord. I don't know. It's not bad. It's just not great. It's just okay. And I think that's crazy that multiple publications are calling this the best looking Accord yet. And I'm just not seeing this at all. Many people have said that, boring sells or whatever, but I wouldn't call the 10th Gen Accord boring, and that sold pretty well. So I don't see why this needs to be so bland in design. But anyway, moving on to the interior, I think it's nice for the class, I guess. And if I've been complaining that Honda has been carrying over their interior design for all their vehicles as soon as the Civic drops, so the CR-V, the HR-V, the Integra. And mainly with videos like my CR-V video, one of my complaints is that not even necessarily that they took the design, is that they didn't make it much more premium than what the Civic is already offering. And I think Honda actually did do that with this Honda Accord, so it's definitely a nice upgrade here. So as usual, we do get the honeycomb or the vent design here. It's more of a triangle versus the honeycomb in the Civic. And it also matches the grille up front as well. The nipples or those little nubs or whatever that control the direction of the airflow on these honeycomb grills do seem a little thicker and a little more premium than what you would get on a Civic or Integra. We have the 10.2-inch digital gauge cluster that is found in the Civic Touring standard for the Accord. So that's a pretty good upgrade over the half digital display that they have in basically every other model. New to the 2023 Honda Accord is going to be the 12.3-inch display that's going to be running Google built-in. And this is Honda's first iteration of Google built-in. However, it's only available on the top of the line Touring trim, which makes zero sense in my opinion, and this is frankly disappointing. And I don't see why they wouldn't put it on the lower trims because, again, that was one of the things that they hyped up the most with this vehicle. And also, Google Built-in is also a subscription service after the first 2 or 3 years of ownership. So that means Honda is also missing out on opportunities to make money once that service runs out as well. But anyway, the Google Built-in is very clean. It looks like an Android phone or tablet. It includes Google Maps, Google Assistant, Google Play, which you can download a bunch of apps on there and use as well. And it seems that for the other trims that get the 12.3-inch display, I guess you'll be using the same software as the 9-inch display, which isn't bad, but again, it's just Honda cheaping out again on software, and I don't even know. What's even more disappointing is that the LX and EX trims of the Accord are going to be getting the 7-inch screen. Yes, that is right, guys. You're going to be getting the same 7-inch screen that you can get on base Civic trims. And it just doesn't make sense when the Accord last year came standard with an 8-inch screen that also included wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This 7-inch screen does not include wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And in fact, there are economy cars out there, such as the Mazda 3, Elantra N, and Toyota Corolla, that come standard with bigger screens. The base Accord's infotainment system matches that of a Nissan Sentra of 7 inches once again, and that's just unacceptable in 2023. But however, it does seem that all Accords get over-the-air updates, so I guess that's an upgrade over the older technology. Wireless charging is available, but once again, it's available on the top-of-the-line Touring trim, which is frankly disappointing considering that the other trims of the 12.3-inch display have wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, and even other Honda cars get wireless charging earlier in the trim line, so I don't know what they're doing here. Other downgrades to the Accord include the heads-up display. It's now 6 inches compared to the previous one, which was 10.2 inches. I guess you can't have the Accord and the TLX have the same heads-up display size, so they had to downgrade just to make it slightly larger than what's available on the Integra. You also get a 12-speaker Bose system that you can also get on any other Honda that offers it. Some other features that they didn't include seem to be the panoramic roof, a 360 camera, or ambient lighting, which is a questionable decision. Some other design elements in the interior is going to be the climate control. It's going to be similar to what you can get in Honda models. In fact, I think the last gen Accord started the trend, so it's pretty similar to that there. Also reading from the press release, it doesn't seem like the steering wheel gets leather wrapped until you get the Sport trim, which means that the LX and EX trims do not have leather wrapped steering wheels. And on the Accord, which is going to be starting at close to $30,000, that should probably be standard by now. I think the leather piece under the climate controls where the gear shifters are look pretty nice. The gloss black in the gear shifter area doesn't really look good, and that will scratch too. It's also gloss black by the Windows switches as well, which is pretty disappointing. In terms of seats, you do get the new body stabilizing seats, which Honda has been putting on every model. I'm sure they're comfortable. However, Honda has cheaped out once again by only offering 2-way lumbar support, while the previous model had 4-way lumbar support. I guess you can't have the same adjustability as the A-Spec with Tech Integra because, Honda doesn't want their luxury brand competing with their mainstream stuff. Another thing about the seats to note is that the passenger seat is only 4-way power adjustable, and this is on the Touring trim, by the way, and that's just inexcusable for the price. Rear seat legroom is at 40.8 inches, and that's more than the current Toyota Crown, and also beats out last year's Toyota Avalon, so that's pretty good. The trunk is also massive at 16.7 cubic feet of trunk space and standard folding rear seats. Looking at the more fastback design of the Accord, it makes me wonder how well vehicles would do, such as the Camry, the Kia K5, Sonata, Nissan Altima, I guess, if they decided to make it a liftback. Will the sales increase, decrease? It'll be interesting to see the result if Toyota did this with the Camry or something. But yeah, in all, the interior, it's fine, it's competitive, but if you put the old interior and the new interior side by side, it doesn't look that much better than the old one in my opinion. But the tech is definitely an upgrade in general, but there are some things that Honda cheaped out on. Moving into the performance, I'll already tell you right now, it's fairly disappointing. And to make this easier, I'll just tell you the trims. So the LX and EX are going to be the gas-only variants of the Accord, while the Sport, EXL, Sport L, and Touring are all going to be hybrid. Sport L is a new trim, so I'm assuming that's just going to be based on the Sport, but with leather and slightly more features than an EXL. So the LX and EX feature revised turbocharged 1.5-liter engine with a CVT transmission. It's going to be making the same 192 horsepower, 192 pound-feet of torque as before. Even though the Accord has gotten bigger, they still haven't increased the horsepower of this engine at all. I guess you can't have the Accord match or exceed the Integra. All other trims of the Accord will be receiving a 2-liter active cycle engine hybrid, making 204 horsepower, 247 pound-feet of torque. We know this setup is shared with the Honda CR-V hybrid, and the CR-V is anything to go by. The Accord will be able to reach 50 in terms of MPG because the CR-V got an increase, especially in city MPG. And I was watching a video on the vehicle, and they had this range on the screen. It was about over 550 miles, and the vehicle wasn't even all the way filled up. The gearbox here is going to be the planetary setup, but Honda's going to call it an eCVT or something like that. I like the hybrid. The 1.5 turbo is meh, so why is the performance so disappointing? It's the fact that Honda has decided to drop the 2-liter engine from the Accord. So I guess TLX fans can rejoice now because the Acura TLX is now officially faster than the Accord. I test drove the 2-liter engine Accord, and the combination with the transmission was wonderful. If I were a shopper for a similar sized vehicle, I wouldn't want the TLX because the rear seat legroom sucks. It's less than that of a 10th gen Civic. The cargo capacity sucks. And to be frank, the tech isn't really that much better than even the 10th gen Accord. And that's more of a widespread problem with Acura, but I can talk about that at length in other videos, and I have. And it's just sad that the 2-liter is gone because it represented an affordable sedan with some performance to it. And I've heard that the 2-liter is about 20% or 1/5 of Accord sales, so cutting it out eliminates a lot of customers here as well. A lot of people in the comments of videos and stuff are saying that there's no market for the 2-liter, but I'll actually argue that there is. My first argument is that if you take a look from the sales perspective, and we assume that 20% of Accord sales were the 2-liter, and we take the past 2 years of Accord sales just to show that this is recent data, a total of 300,024 Accords were sold in that period. And if we take 24,000, that's still nearly over 65,000 2-liter Accords in just 2 years. If you took a look at vehicles that you can possibly cross-shop with, this is more than the Toyota Avalon, which some of its sales include the hybrid. This is nearly double than that of the Acura TLX, all of which are 2-liter. Nearly as much as the ES sales, which include a hybrid. Again, I'm just including the ES because Toyota V6. That's more than all of Subaru Legacy sales, which includes an optional 2.4-liter and turbo Boxster. Not to mention brands like the Kia K5, Sonata, even the Nissan Altima still have the option included for high performance variants. So there's obviously a market for people who are looking for powerful sedans that are just average consumers. And if all these brands have the option, and if the Accord has been able to last with both the V6 and the 2-liter since the 5th generation, I think they should have been able to include it here. And my second or third main argument here is that at this point in time, the 1.5-liter is kind of obsolete, more so than the 2-liter turbo. And I think that Honda should have dropped the 1.5-liter hybrid and offered the 2-liter and the hybrid exclusively. To be honest, most of this applies to a lot of their vehicles in the lineup, and they've actually done this in other markets with the Civic dropping the 1.5-liter and offering the 2-liter hybrid exclusively in the Civic EHEV. If you take a look at the current prices of the 1.5-liter turbo and the hybrid for the previous generation Accord, we see that it's only a $1,200 difference between the two. If you go on fueleconomy.gov and enter the prices as well as their combined MPGs, we can see that the hybrid actually pays for itself in a little bit over 2 years of ownership, which is well within the lease time or pretty early within ownership of the vehicle. And that does account for 15,000 miles driven annually. Even if a theoretical customer drives less, they will still enjoy the instant torque and the performance that the hybrid offers over the 1.5. Not only that, Honda can offer the hybrid for cheaper because they're building more of it. And Toyota did a similar thing with the Toyota Corolla hybrid. Then for someone who wants full performance, they want a transmission, they don't care as much about full economy, then you can sell the 2-liter for that crowd. So the Camry is probably going to be the best option for lost Accord buyers because we know the Accord and Camry are going to be better than the Nissan and the Subaru. People who want real transmissions, well, the Nissan and the Subaru are still CVT even with a 2-liter. And also for people who care about reliability, all the time I see comments whenever they suggest a Korean brand over Honda, they're going to point out that and the Camry is probably going to exceed Honda. So that's probably going to be the next best option. And I think Toyota would probably make a lot of money by offering that new engine. But anyway, this is just my general opinion. If you've been watching my content, I've been pointing out the questionable choices Honda has been making with their vehicles in general. Rest in peace, the 2-liter. Some more performance things that they did here. They retuned the 4-wheel independent suspension and they stiffened up the chassis as a part of it, riding on the new Honda Global architecture. In addition to Econ, Normal, and Sport, there's now an individual mode, and I expect they'll operate pretty similar to what's found on the Civic Si and the Integra. Safety-wise, they've updated Honda Sensing, so it's going to come with a wider 90-degree field of view and a wide-angle radar with a 120-degree field of view. And also get similar airbags to the Honda Civic, which is supposed to cushion your head better in the event of an impact. No pricing yet, but similar to other Honda vehicles, it's probably going to start higher than its competition. I'm expecting about $30,000 to start, and the Accord will probably top out something like $42,000, and it'll probably hit dealerships early in 2023. So that's pretty much all my thoughts on the Accord. I'm not a fan of the exterior. The interior is okay. It definitely got some upgrades, so it's pretty nice. That's a W. The performance, the loss of the 2-liter hybrid, and the 1.5 is meh. So that's kind of meh for me too. I'll probably give them like a B-, C+. That's probably the best I can do. But tell me what you think down below in the comments. Like and subscribe the video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.